Hi everyone, how are we feeling tonight? I am so excited to get into this. Anytime that I have a discussion about money mindset, I can tell you right away that women walk away from this conversation feeling so empowered and lit up about taking their money and their mindset specifically around money back into their own hands, because all of us have some kind of limiting belief around money, whether it be we picked it up from childhood or over the course of our young adult lives or even into our adult lives. So just know, if you have some money wounds or if you have some feelings around lack of abundance, it's totally normal. There's nothing wrong with you, and you're in the right place to be here right now to hear what I have to say about it. And my goal for you today, for tonight, is that you walk away from this conversation and you feel like you can wake up in the morning with a whole new belief system to start implementing specifically around money. But before we get into it, who the fuck am I, right? Like, who is this woman who's coming in here to talk to us? So I'm a mindset and manifestation coach. I specialize in showing women how to use their inner abundance to create a life of their dreams. So in simpler terms, I help women reclaim their inner power so that they can bring those beautiful vision boards they work on all the time to real life, right? They don't just sit on your desk and collect dust or just take up pretty space on your desktop background. You actually get the tools to implement how to make this something into your reality. And I did forget to say, I'm sorry. If you have questions through this, feel free to pop them in the chat so you don't forget, because if you're like me, if I don't write it down, then I will forget my question. So feel free to pop it in the chat. And I'm going to leave plenty of time at the end of this so I can answer any and all questions. And consider this like a hot seat coaching, if you will. So if you have something personal that you're like, hey, I really want some guidance on this, please feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to help and share. I'm also a lover of mini cows. If you don't know what they are, look them up. They are the cutest thing in the entire world. My husband and I moved to the country to have a little bit of property so that I can bring home my Pearl and Petunia one day. So that is on my vision board right now. I love cinnamon flavored everything. And honestly, I really hate that we don't have more cinnamon flavored stuff. Like, why are we so limited on cinnamon flavor, you guys? I really love holistic health, the metaphysical world, and living wild and free. Like Jessica said, I've spent over 15 years learning and applying manifestation teachings, energetics, and the power of the mind, and took it into my own hands to teach other women how to live a life of their dreams in 2019. All right, we're going to start with wealth consciousness. So what is it? What is it? Why does it matter? What are these words that I'm saying? So everybody has wealth consciousness. Some people have an abundant wealth consciousness where they believe that it is their birthright to earn X amount of money every second, every minute, every day, that money is easy to come by, that money is available to them at the snap of a finger. And again, my goal for you is to walk away from this conversation feeling like your wealth consciousness is a little bit more stronger than what it was when you came in here. On the other side of that spectrum, we have what I like to call the lack and limiting belief wealth consciousness of it is, which everyone that I have met, everyone that I have spoken to, myself included, have had to overcome limiting beliefs when it comes to money, right? And the two most common things that I see is white knuckling your money, thinking, oh my gosh, I can't spend any of it. I have to budget. To the point where you don't even get to really spend anything nice on yourself because it doesn't fit in the budget. And you think that the more that you hoard, the more safe you'll feel. Or the other end of that spectrum is where people feel so unsafe with having money that they spend it as quick as they can. They get a lump sum of money and they get rid of it as soon as they can, which is why lottery winners, just because they come into a massive amount of wealth, doesn't necessarily mean they have a good wealth consciousness. And that is why you see lottery winners a lot of times piss away their money, because their nervous system does not feel safe with amount of money. And the amount of money you have doesn't equal safety, right? Some people could feel safe with $100. Some people could feel safe with $100,000. It's all about your wealth consciousness. And that's what we're talking about today. Conditions. What does this mean? Why is this important? What are conditions? So something really interesting about conditions, and also I really want you to look at this as a powerful thing, is you get to create your conditions. Now, if you heard that and you feel a little irritated, like, well, I didn't create these shitty conditions, that's not what I'm saying. But I am saying the conditions that you find yourself in directly relate to how you believe of your worth, of what you are deserving of, and what you are capable of, okay? So if you create conditions in your mind, in your conscious, of being in poverty or being broke or never having enough, always lacking, there's never enough for me or anyone else to have, your reality is going to start forming conditions to support that belief. So that is why we start with wealth consciousness first. If you have the belief that money is an infinite resource, that you can tap into it like you can go to your kitchen sink and turn on the water, you're going to have conditions start forming around you that support that belief. So it's a really good opportunity to take a look at your own belief system and really ask yourself, like, how can I tweak this to better align myself with the wealth consciousness that I desire to have? With that being said, finding your level of tolerance is really important here. And specifically when I'm talking about your level of tolerance is, what kind of conversations are you allowing to happen around you, from you, around money? Do you find yourself with other people who are always talking about how expensive life is, how the economy is trash, how the stock market is doing horrible? Or do you find yourself in conversations and around other people who are always talking about ways to grow and scale and become better? Because you're here right now, I have a feeling you surround yourself and choose to surround yourself with like-minded people who have a growth mindset. But still, we have those friends that kind of sneak their way in. We might have clients or colleagues that sneak their way in. Family is a really common one, especially whenever we're working on getting away from the beliefs that maybe our family had a really big role in playing in our beliefs. We find ourselves, if we hang around them all the time, we're going to start getting those beliefs back in. And a phrase that I like to say, and this actually comes from like AA and NA, is, if you always go to a barbershop just to hang out and never get your hair cut, eventually you're going to get your hair cut. So if you're hanging around people who always have lack and scarcity talk and mindsets, then eventually it's going to leak that energy into you. So again, taking an inventory of what level of tolerance are you allowing yourself to have, and being bold enough and committed to your growth enough to say, I'm no longer going to tolerate this. Even looking at your own habits, do you have full awareness of your financial situation? Or are you like me when I was 21 years old and I was like, bank account who? Like, I know there's money in there, but I don't know how much and I don't care. I'm hoping on that there's enough to get me through the week, right? So it is really taking responsibility of what kind of tolerance are you allowing for yourself? The wealthiest version of you, who I like to call your highest self, she is the version of you who puts the desires on your heart because she's already achieved those desires. So I'm going to say that again in a different way. The things that you desire were placed on your heart because of your highest self, because she already has what it is that you're desiring. And if this is a little too woo for you and you're like, I don't even know what word just came out of your mouth. I don't have a desire to be an Olympic athlete. So I don't do things to become an Olympic athlete. I have no desire to become an astronaut. So I don't do things that are going to get me into space because my highest self is not an Olympic athlete or an astronaut, So the dreams and desires that you have, they're almost like breadcrumbs from your highest self, right? You may not get the entire rule book of how to get there or the total guide of how to get there, but you don't need that. Okay, you just need to follow that desire that you have. So if you have a desire to make a shit ton of money, that is because your highest self is already like, we've already done this, babe. Come on, we can do it time and time and time again. Okay. And if maybe that's not your goal, maybe your goal is to just have a couple $1,000s extra left over from the month, that's also because your highest self has achieved that and knows that you're capable of it. Okay? Cool. You cannot be in scarcity and in abundance at the same time. Literally, those two things cannot exist. And what I mean by this is you cannot sit here and consciously tell yourself, I'm a money magnet. I love money and money loves me. I am abundant. I am full of prosperity. And then in the same breath, having to calm yourself down from a panic attack because you received an unexpected check, or not check, a bill, right? Like you have to go get new tires, or your AC crapped out on you, or whatever. You cannot live in both, okay? So when you have these moments, or any type of belief at all around money, just ask yourself, is this coming from abundance or is it coming from scarcity? And all of the things that you have that are coming from scarcity, that means that there is a limiting belief that needs to be reprogrammed. Because at the end of the day, money is neutral. Money is just a tool. Money is just money. That's all it is. It's not something that we need to demonize or put on a pedestal. It just is what it is. And how I mentioned to y'all earlier that I love mini cows, I learned maybe like 4 years ago that there are countries in Africa that they still use cattle as their currency. And I was like so thrilled to hear that, because I'm like, oh, people are fighting about cows, like how we fight about money. And I just thought that was so cool and interesting, because they don't demonize or put on a pedestal these cows. They're just like, hey, I have 4 cows, you have 3. I have more cows than you, and that's just a simple fact, you know? But I can go down the street and get another cow, just as your cow could be sold in an auction tomorrow. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, money needs to like ebb and flow, to move, to feel free. We don't need to white knuckle it or get it away from our nervous system. And when we can look at the beliefs that we have around money, that is when you can really start to see how many things are holding you back from truly being in the abundant space rather than the scarcity space. When you can get to the root of a limiting belief, then you get to reprogram it. So let's say the limiting belief is, I have to work hard to earn money. You weren't born with that belief. You picked it up along the way. So finding where it comes from, number one, and then asking yourself, is this actually true to me? And do I have examples of this not being true for maybe other people? And you're going to find, yes, that is true, because I'll give you one. If that were true, then firefighters, EMT, hospital workers, people that literally trade a lot of their time in order to receive money would be the top paid people in the world, right? If working hard truly meant more money, okay? So it's just really challenging your beliefs to see, is this true? Do I have proof that it's not true? If it's not true for someone else, that is proof that it cannot be true for me as well. Okay, cool. So there are 2 universal laws that I'm going to share with you that really relate to the energy of money. And the first one is the law of relativity. The law of relativity states that we are the ones who give meaning to things, okay? Just like if you say, oh, I'm happy today, your opinion of happy or your version of happy might be different than mine. Or, oh my gosh, I'm having such a stressful day. Your version of stress might be different than my version of stress. The same thing with money. So what $100,000 means to one person might only really mean $1 to you, and vice versa. Because at the end of the day, money is neutral and relative, and we're the ones that give it meaning, whether it's good or bad. The law of attraction is the second one. So I'm sure you're all aware, law of attraction, that's one of the more popular ones that really hit the main stage in 2009 with the book The Secret when it came out. And people have really glamorized law of attraction to the point where they think, like, if I just am happy and I'm feeling good, then I'm going to attract happy and good. Yes, that's part of it. But the other part of it too is what you're attracting and why. So if I'm wanting $100,000, right, because someone else in my industry says that $100,000 should be my standard of what I'm desiring as a business owner, and I'm only wanting it because someone else told me I should want that amount of money, that's me attracting it from lack. So I'm going to continue to attract more conditions that allow that lack into my life. right? If I'm wanting to attract $100,000 because I have a whole plan of where I'm going to put this money, how I'm going to allocate those funds, how it's going to make me feel, that's going to attract that same type of feeling. Does that make sense? Okay. One of my favorite analogies is that money is like a bag of chips. Okay, money is abundant just like chips are, y'all. I don't ever sit on my couch watching my favorite trash TV reality show thinking, man, I really have to savor every chip I eat because one day they're all going to be gone. I eat my chips, watch my show. When they're close to being out, I'll add them onto my H-E-B pickup order. And I know that I'm going to have them when I go to the grocery store next. Or if I'm really desperate and really feeling like I just can't wait until I go to the grocery store again, then I'm going to go to the gas station and buy another bag of chips. And I'm never thinking when I'm going to the gas station or when I'm going to the grocery store, oh man, I really hope they have this specific type of chip that I want. Please, 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 please have it. No, because I have such a confidence in the chips being there time and time and time again. I don't have to check the delivery schedule, make sure that the company still has and makes these chips. I just know for a fact in my heart and soul, they're going to be there. And that is how I hope that you all think of money, because money truly is infinite. And something that I like to do that specifically pertains to money, whenever I'm feeling like, oh gosh, there's not enough in the world, I go to the United States debt tracker and I watch that number just keep getting higher. And I'm like, okay, there is infinite. Like, yes, it's going into debt. We can get into that a whole nother day. But that tracker keeps going. It doesn't stop. You don't hit a number and it stops. It just keeps on rolling. And I'm like, you know what? That's the vibe, that it just keeps on coming regardless, okay? All right, so gratitude around money is another really important piece here. And I actually had this conversation this morning, and I think it's so funny that I had this conversation and I'm gonna have it again with you all, is the reason that some people feel a little bit of the, oh, I don't wanna show gratitude towards my money, that feels dirty. That's a limiting belief, that you think that money and greed and selfishness and all these things. But truly, gratitude is one of the practices that has been done since before religion, since before books documented it. It's one of the core practices in everything that we do, and has been, and it's in our DNA, right? Like our ancestors were very rich in their gratitude. And when I say it's important to have a gratitude practice around money, it's around both what you currently have and what you desire to bring in. And the reason it's important to show gratitude around what you're trying to bring in, the Nile River, way back when, they would have ceremonies around the Nile River flooding when it was completely bone dry. And it was gratitude ceremonies. So they're sitting here saying, thank you for this river being full, looking at a dry, cracked river, knowing that the amount of gratitude they pour into this river is almost like assuring that it's going to flood in the next season so they have enough water for their crops. And every single time, every year, that river would flood. So it's showing gratitude for the things you're calling in. And you can do this with everything, not just with money. Like if you have a long to-do list this week, show gratitude for the to-do list happening and being done with ease and with the most amount of, the least amount of stress possible. You know what I'm saying? So showing gratitude for both what you have and what you're trying to bring in is so important, because whoever has gratitude for money will be given more and have an abundance. And whoever does not have gratitude for money, even what they will have will be taken away. And the reason I put for money in parentheses is because you can literally put anything in there. Who has gratitude for their partner, for their business, for their friend, for their parent, for their child, whatever. That's just kind of how gratitude works. All right. So if you are not comfortable with $100,000, what makes you think you'll be comfortable with $1 million? When I say this, if your chest tightens up, you're like, oh my God, I'm not comfortable with either of those amounts. I want you to start really looking into what it is you desire and really just playing with the feeling of what you will feel when all of those desires come to fruition. Okay, so if the dollar amount kind of makes you feel a little uneasy, let's think of the things, right? Like the first class trip to Italy, the cruise that you take your whole family on, the brand new blacked out Range Rover, like whatever it is, getting yourself comfortable with it, because when you can get comfortable around the energy of what that thing brings you, so the feeling, right? It's a lot easier to attract it into your reality. And I'm going to give you some practices to get more comfortable with $100,000, $1 million, a gazillion dollars, whatever. I don't care. Because at the end of the day, money's neutral, right? So the first one is a money date. Like I mentioned earlier, if you would have asked 21-year-old Alyssa to go and tell you her financial situation and how much money was coming in and what her spending habits look like, she would give you a giant question mark because she had no idea, right? No idea. Because avoidance was the name of the game back then. Just avoid and everything will be fine. But it is not cute and it is not responsible to not know what is going on with your finances. And so money dates oftentimes can be seen as like these very daunting, masculine to do things, but truly I make mine so fun. Like I will go and get a cute coffee and I'll put on a cute playlist and I'll look every single quarter at what's coming in, what's going out, what are my habits from a neutral lens too, right? Like this isn't an opportunity for you to shit on yourself and think like, oh my God, I'm the worst person with money, blah, blah, blah. No, it's just for you to have an awareness, right? And what I found about myself when I first started doing this was how much money I was giving Mr. Jeff Bezos via Amazon. I was like, I don't even know all these Amazon charges. I don't even know what I got from them at the end of the day. So it gave me an opportunity to say, you know what? Now before I hit buy or check out or whatever, I'm going to ask myself, are these things in this cart things I'm going to enjoy a year from now? And it allows me to say, probably not. This is literally just something that I don't even know if I'm going to like it when it gets here. Not even going to waste my time, right? I'm not even going to pretend like this is a good idea. So again, it's just the awareness, neutral awareness. Money abundance scripting. So this one is so much fun. This one is honestly my favorite one to do, is when you have a desired amount of money, right? So let's say a $10,000 month, right? Like that's the popular thing for entrepreneurs is 10K months. So I'm just going to stick to that. We're going to script about it like it's already come, right? So you can either write to your highest self, or you can write to someone who lives far, far away. You can write to your best friend. I don't care who. Dear highest self me, today, December 3rd, 2024, I just received $10,000 and I am shitting my pants. I finally did it. I can't believe this money is mine. Oh my God, how great is this? I feel so incredible. The first thing we're going to spend this money on is bleh. Write it like it's happening. And what I want you to do is read this any single time you feel that money is hard to come by, that money just isn't on your side, that you're feeling that lack and that scarcity, because what this does is it puts you in the energy and the frequency of abundance, okay? You can even make this something like this time next year, right? Like whatever your desired 2025 income goal is. Write a letter to future you that you're going to read on December 3rd, 2025 about how you attracted all of this money and how you're going to spend it, how it made you feel. The more detail, the better. Cleaning up our language around money. If you find yourself saying things like, that's expensive, or, oh, it must be nice, or I could never afford that, or money is never, I never have enough, or whatever the saying is that you find yourself saying a lot of times, we need to clean that up, because how you speak about money is going to directly reflect how money shows up for you. So I like to use words like, that's a luxury price, and there will be a day that comes when I get to also own that blacked out Range Rover, So it's just switching things up a bit. It's also, when you do that, you're tricking your mind into making it seem a lot more easier to attract this kind of money that you're desiring than you think it is. Prioritizing joy. And this one's on here for a very important reason. I'm gonna get into it. We oftentimes, as business owners, and especially as women, and as moms, and as wives, and as sisters, and we have all these hats that we wear. When was the last time you actually did something fun just for you? That had nothing to do with business, your family, anything. Like, when was the last time you said, you know what, I'm gonna go stroll the aisles of Target and just smell every single candle in the candle aisle? When was the last time you took yourself on a little day date to the movies? When was the last time you took yourself to lunch and brought your favorite book and just read and ate chicken enchiladas? You know what I mean? Like, doing something that's just for you and prioritizing the joy. I do something every week. I drive my back roads that are out here in the country, and I get myself a Dirty Coke. If you don't know what a Dirty Coke is, I'll get into that later. But I drive around with my favorite playlist on, looking at nature, looking at all the cows, drinking my Dirty Coke, and just enjoying living, okay? We didn't start our businesses to be so neck deep in to-do lists, and me prioritizing joy takes 30 minutes out of my day. Do something fun for yourself this week. It's a mandatory thing. Manifestation alarms. So let's say we have a goal, our 10K goal. We are going to set 3 alarms every day, but not the rant, rant, rant. Like, it needs to be something nice, and maybe it's the birds chirping or whatever. And on the alarm, you're going to say something like, congrats, we did it, or we just hit 10K sales, or cheers to us because we just received $10,000 in our bank account, whatever. And what you're going to do, you're not just going to snooze this or stop the alarm. You're going to stop what you're doing. So schedule these alarms around times that make sense, right? Like, not in the middle of a virtual event that we're doing. But make it to where you can give yourself 5 minutes and actually celebrate. So if you like to have a little dance party, have a little dance party. If you like to go and get yourself a nice cup of clean cold water and cheers yourself, that's what I like to do. I like to have an actual, like, cheers, like we did it, because it, like, you're doing an act and it just feels good, and your subconscious mind is like, ooh, that was fun. Can we do that again? But actually doing something to celebrate 3 times a day, like it's already happened for you, because you're putting, again, yourself in that energy of receiving and getting your subconscious mind on board with making this a reality. All right. So where you can learn more, I am on Instagram. That's my jam is the gram _ Alyssa Simpson X. You can visit my website, alyssasimpsonx.com. I have a podcast where I talk and talk and talk and talk called Limitless, and it is on Apple and Spotify.